We all know that proteins play a crucial role in biological systems because sometimes they act as components of enzyme, and at other times proteins like elastin, keratin and collagen they act as structural components. So protein is a macromolecule comprising several amino acids linked together via amide bonds or peptide bonds. If you look at the amide bond formation here, carboxyl group of one amino acid links with amine group of neighboring amino acid, resulting in bond formation. This bond that is formed is a partial double bond responsible for giving protein a very complex structure. The amide bond contributes to development of the native protein structure. Protein word is derived from Greek word proteus, which means first of its kind. Synthesis of protein occurs in ribosome via process called as translation. Just to give you a context here, so the central dogma of life is conversion of DNA to mRNA via transcription and subsequently to protein via translation. So synthesis of proteins occur in ribosome. When amino acid is synthesized, it is transported with the help of tRNA and then sequentially arranged to form a polypeptide chain or a functional protein. At elemental level, protein is made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. Now, the obvious question is why are proteins so vital? They are essential nutrients required by the body for carrying out normal functioning, including growth, reproduction, and metabolic activities like respiration. Secondly, they contribute to structure and texture of food. Cheese, as we all know, has its characteristic structure or ability to form three-dimensional structure due to presence of kappa caseins in milk. That is nothing but your proteins. Proteins are also known to impart mozzarella its characteristic stretch properties. That's why we all enjoy having pizzas. Thirdly, sensorial properties. Proteins are known to impart taste and sensorial properties. So, whenever you consume foods rich in protein, they have an umami taste to offer to your taste buds. Finally, to suit the product development needs, this is especially true these days because there is a lot of interest in development of plant-based foods. So we want to be able to find a plant-based protein which can modify and transform in order to mimic the behavior of animal proteins. Before going to the sources of proteins, let's look at what are food proteins. Food proteins are those proteins that fulfill the following criteria. They have nutritional value of 4 kilocalorie per gram. They play a functional role in food products, okay? They impart texture to products like cheese. Secondly, they alter the solubility of product. And finally, you have they aid in gel formation, especially when we are talking with regard to yogurt or cheese. Finally, they have to be easily digested and should be non-toxic in nature. So, what are the sources of protein? First and foremost, you have egg, then we have soybean, lentils, milk, milk products, meat, meat products, fish products, and so on. Amino acids are considered the basic structural units of protein. From the figure given here, you can see that carbon that's present in amino acid is a chiral carbon because it's attached to four different groups, namely amine group, hydrogen group, carboxylic acid group, and an R group. And this R group, depending on the chemical nature of R group, we can form around 21 to 22 different types of amino acid. Properties of proteins like net charge, solubility, chemical reactivity, hydrogen bonding ability, everything is dependent on what type of R group is attached to our amino acid. Now let's move on to discuss features of amino acid. Amino acid can act as both acid as well as base. And why is this the case? Because amino acid is made of amine group which confer it base-like characteristics, and carboxylic acid group which confer it acidic characteristic. Now this amine group as well as carboxylic group, they tend to exhibit ionic behavior at about pH which is around 7, at about neutral pH. Now the pH at which ions are electrically neutral is called isoelectric point. And if we know isoelectric point, it serves as a basis to understand several behaviors of proteins, including its solubility and gel forming ability. One characteristic property of amino acids that are acidic or basic is that they have strong affinity for water, and that's why they are considered to be hydrophilic in nature. Secondly, you have hydrophobicity. That's also an important concept when we talk about amino acid, because not all amino acids have affinity for water. There are some groups that do not like water and like to stay away from water. Such type of amino acid, they like to bind with fat, because both fat as well as the amino acid, they are hydrophobic in nature. So fat binding ability depends on the number of hydrophobic groups present in protein. Secondly, solubility of protein is also impacted by hydrophobicity. Formation of three-dimensional structures again impacted by hydrophobicity, because as these hydrophobic group, they don't like to be present near water, so they are buried deep within the tertiary structure of protein. It also has an influence on emulsifying capacity and foam forming ability. Last but not the least, proteins can absorb light in the UV range between 250 to 300 nanometer. This is also the case with other biological material like DNA and RNA. This information will give us an idea about how much of denaturation has the protein undergone and at what time protein denaturation happened. So, amino acids can be classified into several groups based on how they interact with their side chains. We have four categories. First one is aliphatic, then we have aromatic, charged, and finally uncharged. The first two, that is aliphatic and aromatic, they are considered hydrophobic amino acids because of their poor solubility in water. An example of aliphatic amino acid would be alanine, isoleucine, leucine, methionine. Methionine is the first amino acid that's produced during translation process using initiator codon, which is your AUG. Then we have aromatic amino acid, example of which would be phenylalanine, tryptophan, tyrosine, etc. Second, we have hydrophilic amino acid, which can be divided into charged or uncharged amino acid. So charged amino acid are all those amino acid which either possess acid or basic group. For instance, you have arginine, aspartic acid, glutamine, histidine, lysine, and so on. Uncharged, you have serine, threonine, asparagine, then you have glutamine, so on. Now, the protein, depending on what type of amino acid is present, protein functionality, nutritive value, and chemical reactivity will vary. If you look at the right hand side here, you can see that this is a picture representing three-dimensional structure of protein taken from NCBI. You can see that hydrophobic groups are represented here in green. Thank you for staying with me through the video. In case you have any queries, please feel free to put them in the comment section and I'll get back the earliest.